I am civil engineer from Government Polytechnic Kottagudem. My subject is integrated waste management. My topic today, I'm going to discuss about it. Initiative to promote of recycling of construction and demolition waste, and also the importance of the recycling of the construction and the demolition waste, and also some rules and regulations for this process. So these are the topics which I am going to cover in this topic. So what is the initiative to promote the recycling of construction and demolition waste in India? Recycling. So why we are doing the recycling? Recycling, till now we have studied all the waste. We have studied about the municipal waste, biomedical waste, and now we are studying about the construction and the demolition. So why in all these process we are trying to reduce the waste. So for that, what we are doing, we are collecting and segregating, and also the material which are used or reused, we are finding out, and that we are sending for a recycling process so that it can be reused. And finally, at last, we are reducing the volume of the waste so that it will not affect the environment. So till what is the main target? We have to save our environment. So that is the main target of this waste management. What the integrated waste management means, look after all these waste and to reduce those volumes so that it will be environment eco-friendly and environment free. So all this process, for this, all the different methods are there. So same names are same, but procedures will be somewhat different. So first we are going to say what is the what is the initiation of the recycling. So India has provisions for the protection and improvement of the environment in its constitution. So finally, we have to look after and we have to protect our environment. So construction accounts for nearly 65% of the total investment in infrastructures, and the trend is increasing. So nowadays we are finding n number of constructions. So n number of constructions and also n number of apartments. So earlier we used to have G+1 or G+4. Now we are having G+20 and G+30 in some cases also. More than that. So construction is tremendously, it is going on increasing. So investment is also it is also increasing in the infrastructures. So hence it is more important to know how to effectively manage the construction and demolition waste. So here, the construction is going on, so effectively we have to manage the waste also. So that is the main target of this CND waste. So with respect to reuse and recycle, so here we are saying that the material should be reused and recycled. The material which we are going to use, that it should be reused and recycling so that it can be eco-friendly. So some key initiatives on construction and demolition waste management in India is given below. So some of the departments will look after this. So first one is the Ministry of Urban Development. So that is called as MOUD, Ministry of Urban Development. So this what they will do, they will form a report, technical aspects of processing and treatment of municipal solid waste. That is this ministry, what they will look after all the treatment process of municipal waste also, CND waste also. So in this part it was called as a Swachh Bharati mission. We already seen that Swachh Bharat is there, so that is also recognize the need for CND department. So we know already about the Swachh Bharat that will be what we are doing, that Modi had now it was implementing more. So Swachh Bharat mission is nothing but finding out the waste and how to reuse or recycling that waste, that is going to see. So Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, environment considerations have been integrated into all needs and in national environment policy. So Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Environmental considerations have been integrated into levels and in national environment policy. So environmental consideration have been integrated into levels and in National Environment Policy in 2006, incorporation of the concept of 3 Rs. 3 Rs are nothing but the reuse, recycle, and um, these are the uh, use, use, and reconstructions. Okay, so is reflected in all the notified waste management rules. Reduce, reuse, and recycling. Mean to say, reduce, reuse, and recycling are the concept of the 3 Rs. So, Bureau of Indian Institutions. So, what is the? So, these are the three came for look after the waste management. One is the Ministry of Ministry of Ministry of Urban Development, and another is the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and next comes to the Bureau of Indian Standard. Under the construction and demolition, C&D management rules are framed and in 2016. In that first one, duties of the Indian Standard and also Indian Road Congress. So roads also we will construct the roads, in that also we will get a lot of waste in that. So that is look after by the IRC, and this and Bureau of Indian Standard will look after the. So we will follow the standards of the Indian standard. We all follow the civil engineers follow the Indian standard. So those that is BIS. So that will all look after in that specimen, that will specify the how to follow these under the construction process, the waste how should to reduce. The Bureau of Indian Standards and the IRC shall be responsible for the preparation of the code of practice. So, and standards for use of recycled materials and products of construction and demolition waste in respect of construction activities. So, so in the code book only, they will mention how to recycle the materials and how to we have to increase our standards. So that will be given in the code book. So what are the activities will be there? So role of BIS, Bureau of Indian Standard, role of standards in utilization of the construction and demolition waste. So what is the role? It is the basics for acceptance. So what is there we have to accept? So wider use by increasing the confidence in user consumer. So if you use these materials, it will, if you are for example, clay bricks are using instead of the concrete. So if you are constructing with one, you have to make the confidence level into the consumer that it is good, it have the lifetime. So transfer of technology and the scope of review, amended or revision, withdrawal. So all the scope of what is going on, and the review have to be sent. So techno legal part of regulatory documents and techno financial part of financing projects, and basics for training or capacity building and road and departments. So all these will be seen, will be um, all these will be looked after by the BAS. They have to transfer the technology, and they have to say legal part. They have to look after for that the regulated documents are to be there financially. Financially they have to see. It is also the part of the project, and also the basics of the trainings and the capacity of the capacity also look after those the things. So those are the things. So Indian standard coarse and fine aggregate for the specification. So what are the BIs have the some of the specifications have noted here. So in this first one comes to the coarse and fine aggregate, how they will reuse and recycle those coarse aggregate. So recycled coarse aggregate may be used in concrete for bulk fills. So after the construction, the after the demolition, the coarse aggregate may be demolition of the building, or at the time of construction, some aggregate may be left over that can be used in concrete for bulk fills. So wherever the filling is required, so low area is there, so for that filling this coarse aggregate may be used. Also bank protection. So if there is any river area, so there we have to construct uh, a side wall, so that plus we can use this coarse aggregate base fill of drainage structures, pavements, sidewalks, curbs and gutters. Like this we can use the fine aggregate for concrete. So up to 30% of natural crushed coarse aggregate can be replaced by the recycled concrete aggregate. So if you crushed any concrete structures, that the aggregate which is there in that demolition, after the demolition, that aggregate can, that 30% of instead of 30% of the natural coarse aggregate, we can be use this recycled concrete aggregate. So this percentage can be increased up to 50% for the payments. So for if you are using in the payments, it can be used up to 50%. If you are using any in any construction, then it can be used only 30%. So in the other areas which are under pure compression specific to the standards and practice pertaining to the construction of earth. So if any structures either than the tension, if it is in more compression, then in that structures this aggregate, that recycled aggregate which is coming from the concrete, it can be useful in this. So like that we are using the recycle. So what is the procedure? So CND waste processing. What is the CND processing means? uh, when the environment movements started to criticize the practice of disposal based waste management, it argued that waste that is made up of different materials should be treated differently as suggested. So why the CND waste has came? So they have some of the people forms argued that waste that is coming from the construction and the demolition are of different materials. It can be treated of different as registered. Reduce its production. At the time of the production only, if you reduce it, then it will be useful. So if you are for marketing, you are creating a more production means, then the the buying also more. So if you reduce at the production level only, then it will be profitable. So explore its reuse and recycle potential. If at all, you have to say and you have to know how to reuse and recycle, so that it can also reduce the waste waste. So these are the process how we can reduce the waste. So final disposal, so how to dispose it, that is also mm, most. So different materials we have so how to dispose it and how to treat it are how to be suggested so that the waste can be reduced. The same is echoed in India's waste management handling rules, either directly or indirectly. It includes CND waste. So, what are the rules are there? So, we are covering the rules and also we have covering the processing also in this. So, what are the rules for this waste management are hierarchy in waste management with respect to responsibility of the occupier for management of hazardous and other waste. So for the management of hazardous, so hazardous we have to look after which are hazardous. So that only we can sort out. So for that we are formed a hierarchy form. So in that the hierarchy we are identifying the hazardous. So for that we are created one management that is called as a CND waste management. So, for the management of hazardous and other waste, an occupier shall follow the following 6 steps. So, what they will look after. So, first one is the prevention. Instead of keeping of the hazardous, it should be prevented. At the same time, we have to minimize the waste, and we have to see either it is reuse or recyclable. And recovery, after recovery we have recycled and we have product recovery utilization, including the co-processing and safe disposal. So recovery, so we have to recover if the process is there and if it is not working well, that should be recovered. So that process also we have to look after. So it should be prevented at the production itself. It's not possible, it should be minimized. If it is there, then we have to think about the reuse and also recycling process. We have to do for the reuse, we have to recycle it. So it's a recycling process we have to thinking. And of at last, safe disposal is the most important. So that these are the rules we have to. So what are the rules are there? So solid waste rules are there. It means the main priority order in which the solid waste should be managed by giving emphasis to prevention, reduction, reuse, recycling, recovery, and disposal, with the prevention being the most preferred option and the disposal at the landfilling being the least. So we should not go for the landfill. So instead of going to the landfill, it should be reduced, so that we can use the method of landfill. So before going to the disposal into the landfill, we have to prevent it. Hazardous materials are there. If it is hazardous, it should be prevented, and we have to reduce. So how you will reduce? If you segregate it, you can reduce it. And if the reuse materials are there, for example steel, and if you use the steel in the building structure, and we will use the doors in the building structures, and we use any plastic will be there in the plastic doors will be there, plastic windows will be there. And for the electric items, we will provide the plastic. So that plastic, and also recycling, reuse, so segregating it, the which are reusable, and we are recycling the process, and it should be recovered and the disposal. So at last, after this reduction and reducing, then we can finally dispose it, so that we are reducing the volume in the landfill process. So, according to this hierarchy, the priority of any country should be extract the maximum practical benefits from products and to prevent the minimize the waste that is generating. So we are sending the reused material, so that that factory which is going to protect the new uh, new product, then that reused materials is reducing for the manufacturing of the new product. So like that we are reducing the waste. So prevention is the most desirable waste management. So waste management option, so as it eliminates the need for handling, transporting, and also we have to see that it should be handled and it should be transported for the disposal. So before going to the disposal, it should be handled carefully and it should be transportation is also important. And finally we will see either it is recycling or it is disposable. So it is important to see that handling and the transportation also main important. So it provides the highest level of environmental protection by optimizing the use of resource, so and by removing a potential source of pollution. So if you give importance to optimize use of the resource, then only we can protect the environment and also the potential source of pollution. So nowadays, instead of going to the power, we are using the solar panels. So by that we are using the maximum use of the resource only, natural resource, the sunlight. So by that we are getting the power. So somewhat costly, but by using that one we are reducing the electricity. For generating of the power, what we are using the water resource, so water or coal, like that. So if for the production of that one we are using the other resources, and we are reducing those resources capacity, and also we are producing the pollution also. For the at the time of the power generating, it will produce a smoke, so dust. So by that it is creating the pollution at parallelly. So for that we can use this solar panel, so that we can it can become the eco-friendly. So like that we have to think optimize the use of resource, and by removing the potential source of pollution. So if you do so, that pollution will be controlled. So reducing the waste includes any process or activity that avoids, so reduce or eliminates the waste as it sorts or results in reuse or recycling. So reduce the waste includes any process, so you can use any process reducing. So you can use the landfill method or incineration method. So or if you use uh, disposal into the ocean, like that. If you any process or activity that avoids, reduce, or eliminates the waste, so its source or results in reuse or recycling. So any process or activity that avoids, so we have to think instead of go I mean to say, instead of going to get a new thing, we can make if you make our own product by at our house itself, so then it can be we are reducing the waste from our side only. So eliminates the waste as a source. For example, you can say that if you are going to buy uh, a new um, bag. So instead of going to go buy a new bag, we can make our have our own. If we have any for example, we can say that. Uh, we by using of the, if you want to go and bag means, if any polythene cover, if you go for the shop, then they will give a polythene cover to for you, that the polythene cover is made from the plastic. So instead of that one, from house itself, if you make a paper cover, that is if it is so strong, then you are reducing the waste from your own at the basis. Either going to that, going to any shop, you take your own bag from you, so that they will not give the uh, uh, plastic cover to you, so that we are reducing, for example, I'm saying, so we are reducing the waste from our side, so that it eliminates the waste as its source or results, and reuse or the recycling. So the convenient method of waste disposal, desirably to engineer, is the sanitary landfill. So generally, the method we will follow the sanitary landfill method. So disposal is generally further. So regarding the CND waste prevention at source, we have to generally see at the source only, we have to prevent this waste. So encourage on-site management is the preferably approach, since the reduce the waste volumes to be subsequently handled and transport. So importance of the, so he till now we have seen the what is the initiate of the CND. So why it was came, so how the process is going on, so why it came, it was that waste is going on to increase, it is also becoming a 60% of the infrastructures is going on to uh, uh, getting, so that in the 60% of the um, amount is going on for that one. So for that it was looked after by the three departments we have seen, that is Ministry of the Urban Utilization, and also the BIS. So those will look after all the CND. So in the BIS, they will frame some standard code in that book. They will say how to look after those CND. And after that, we have seen about the example of in that, so that the aggregate, fine aggregate and the coarse aggregate in the concrete. So how to recycle that concrete. So how we have recycled it, we have after the demolition of crushing, that waste which is coming, that was used, that is used for a um, has a payment, and also has a low lying areas where the landfill is required. So like that we are reusing those aggregate, and that we have seen. And CND process, in the CND process we have seen some of the rules. So in that we use what is the first one is the prevention and recycling, and also prevention and minimizing and reduce and recycling and the reuse, or the and final disposal. These are the recovery and final disposals. These are the things what we have seen in the rules. So those rules are framed for that, how to prevent and minimize the CND. So here, what is the importance of the recycling? Here we will see. So reuse and recycling waste has been promoted in all the waste rules. So in this, can see, so reuse and recycling waste has been promoted in all the waste rules. So here they have framed in all the waste rules. We can see how to reuse and recycle. They have already framed the rules. So with the increasing demand for built spaces and scarcity of land, so there is a scarcity of land also, and also with the increasing in the demand for the building also, and also can see the scarcity of the land also. A trend of redevelopment projects is expected. So here we are seeing that redevelopment projects are coming. So with the increased urbanization and increased housing demands, there will be a shortage of aggregate to the extent of 55,000 millions. So here we can see in housing sectors it required the 50,000 million cubic meters in housing sectors. So the increase in population and the increase in the demand and the tremendous uh, increase of the house demands. So there will be a shortage of the aggregate in the future. So here 55,000 of the million meter cube of the is getting shortage. So whereas the road sector, it requires additional 750 million meter cube of aggregate. So how much we are at present required? 55,750 million meter cubic meter of aggregate is required, and it for the houses and also for road sector. So how that much that it will be shortage. So for that we have to think of the redevelopment projects is expected. So this emphasis of the need and see construction and demolition based management in India, the cost of construction materials is increasing enormously. So by seeing this one, the cost of construction materials is also enormously, it is increasing in India. But the cost of cement during 1995 it was 125 per bag, but now it was increased 330 per bag. Not now. In 2012, we can see the price was um, 330 per bag. So here we can see India, the cement rate at 95 is 125 per bag per kg, and here we are using 330 per bag. So what is the lot of increase in the cost, but the construction is going on, the materials rate is going on increasing, but the people will not using the uh, um, new the recycled they are not thinking about the finance, they are thinking about the houses only. So recycling of the construction and demolition waste is important as it helps to reduce the dependence on natural resources and eliminates adverse environmental impacts. For example it was taking, so if you recycle the waste material, so that we can reduce the obviously the natural resources. For the construction we generally require the natural resources only. We require the water, we require the aggregate which is coming from the ground itself, and we require the cement. So here the all are coming from the natural resources. More for the water also, it also we are taking. So and resources and eliminates the adverse environmental impacts. So if you remember, so one of the example given here, the mining, which is energy intensive activity. So in the mining, if you are digging on that energy intense, that is the energy intensive activity that is going. So here the recycling of construction and demolition waste has the additional advantage of controlling. So what the mining will do after the removing of the coal and whatever, they will fill, that will be filled. So filled and reuse that land. So that is a recycling, and the construction and demolition waste has the additional advantages of the controlling the quantum of construction and demolition waste. So destined for disposal and landfills, besides reducing the transportation cost. So this is the when opportunities for reuse or salvage or exhausted, recycling in the is the next level. So we have to think of the uh, refuse or exhausted, and recycling is the we have to think about the reuse of the materials, so that that afterward we can think about the recycling. So construction and demolition waste materials that can be recycled, including the acoustical ceiling tiles, asphalt shingles, carpets, and concrete. Any drywall is there, fluorescent lights, land clearing debris, um, if you're cutting out if you want to construct there, we will first clear land itself, so there will get we will get all of debris will be there, vegetations, lot of trees and all those. So any dirt, so all dirt will be there. And the open land means if you are going to construct a land, sorry, if you are going to construct any building, then before, if you see that land, it will not be clean itself, we have to clean. So at that cleaning, we will clean all the debris over there. So we can recycle the ceiling tiles, okay, and we can recycle the asphalt. Asphalt is nothing but where we use this bituminous, or you can say, and at the roads, okay, and the carpets. Asphalt generally used as a DPC, damp proof coats, okay, and carpets and concrete and the drywall. Drywalls are nothing but the bricks. Fluorescent lights, we will use fluorescent lights in the ceiling purpose. And land clearing debris, we have seen metals, metal alloys, structural steel, plastic filling, which is used for the sheeting and the packaging. So if any materials are coming in that, we will use the plastic protective materials, and it we can and we are using the glass and wood. So these are the different materials which can be recycled. So the list of reuse materials include the appliance. So materials are bathroom fixtures, bricks, blocks, masonry stone, structural steel, cabinets, carpeting, ceiling tiles, timber and timber based boards, door and window frames and shutters, flooring tiles, stone tiles, platforms, insulations, landscaping materials, lighting fixtures, and metal framing, including for partitions and ceiling, paneling, pipes, antique moldings, accessories, and hardware of furniture, PVC water tanks, roofing sheets, and used for garbage, outdoor areas, fabric of tensile structures also. So all those we can see with some bathroom fixtures. Bathroom fixtures are nothing but water closets and the pumps. So before going to reuse, those should be cleaned. After cleaning only, we can use those. We can do. So we can use the doors, timber doors are there. We can fix it again to another house. Instead of going to cutting of the timber, we can reuse the timber doors. Sorry, any doors, any frame doors. Okay, that can be frame structures or frame shutters are there that can be used. So flooring tiles, if there are there, they can be sent and it can be used as a tiles. So those, all those can be used. So from recyclability, building materials can be specified which will encourage the recycling of building materials. So the list of recycled content buildings include carpet, floor mats, flooring, cellulose insulation, ceiling tiles, ceramic porcelain tiles, concrete masonry units, countertop, ductwork, fences, posts, fiberboards, fiberglass, insulations, piling, roofing, structural steel, wall boards, asphalt, concrete, and drainage. So all these are used for backfilling of the aggregate. So these are the materials. So construction and demolition and other inert waste may be utilized for making of the bricks. So in these, some of the materials can be used for again as a inert materials for making of the bricks and the pavement blocks. So construction materials are such as aggregates are also reused. There are several plants of various capacities in India to make the bricks. paver blocks Paver blocks are nothing but for the roads. So for the roads, if you observe at a footpath, we can observe and also if if any well planned area is there, in that also we can see the paver blocks, aggregate and count of such waste materials. So what is the sustainable model? So what is sustainable? So which can be sustained. So the key component of a sustainable model on construction and demolition waste management are the following are the points where we can see. So here the practical estimation of the construction and demolition of the waste management. So they should have an uh, practical imagination on that, so that they can have estimation on that. So identification sites and timely acquisition of land for development. So they have to identify where the waste has to be generating, and timely acquisition land. So any open places are there, or any problem in the land for the development of integrated construction and demolition process facilities for the necessary approval from local administration and civic. So if they are going to get the CND processing facilities, so for that they have to get a site. So that CND means they have to adopt one site only, then they can do this recycling process. So for that they require a land. So for that they have to get a approval from the local administration. So there should not any land acquisition problems. So that they have to get a uh, from there they have to get a approval. So specifications are standards of recycled and construction and demolition waste products for quality acceptance. So they have to get the quality acceptance also. List out the mandate use of recycled products from CND waste. So they have to record the what are using what are the things which are used as a recycled products, and the penalty for the landfill. So they have to give penalty if there is any landfill. So map water bodies in a city or a region, and encroachment of water bodies in cities for generating land is a common practice up to several cities. So what they have to map out the water bodies where they are in the city, so that they can generate a land, common practice for that one. So it's a research on the economical viable of construction and demolition recycling options. So there should be of a research should be going on the recycling process, and awareness and the for the using of the tools of for general public. So those are the things which are if construction and demolition waste management has to be seen. So if any construction demolition uh, factory or something, you have to place for the recycling process. So for that you have to identify the land also, and you have to get the permission. You have to record the things what you are going to recycle the materials, and getting out from you also as a product what you are getting. So, in case of the construction and demolition waste, CND waste management, the key parameters which impacts are the four common things which are going to impact. So, that is dust, noise, smoke, and odor. So, these are the things which are going to affect the surroundings or the environment. Dust, it will pollute, because at the crushing you are recycling or reusing the materials, means you are crushing the materials. At the same time that it will create the noise also. At the time of the crushing it will be, at the same time it will, if the that machine will create the smoke also, like that the different impact will be there on this thing. So the in that how the dust create the. So if you are we are taking one thing. The main thing is the dust. So how to take that dust to be reduced. So dust for loading or unloading operations. So areas to be earmarked for delivery or depositions of CND waste. So they have to look after. We have before itself we have seen that they have to select a site so that it should not create any problem. So a sheet cover over the debris. So if you have already collected, that should be covered with a sheet should be covered on all the waste materials over designated transport vehicles at the waste processing sites. Signboards to be displayed indicating do's and do nots. So we at the time of the construction, sorry, at the time of the construction also, at the time of the demolitions also, we have to keep a signboard so that it indicates what you have to do and what should not be do. So the dust, if you're getting a dust, so if you have to water sprinkles to be sprayed at all unloading points. So wherever the dust is getting, so there if you sprinkle the water, then that dust will not be rise, and it will be so at the time of the loading and unloading water, the dust will be there. So that if you are any waste is coming and if you are poured at a place, that at the time of the unloading, so dust will be there. So water should be sprinkled so that the dust will not be rise at that one. So for containing fugitive emissions, also refer CPCB's reports. So the inventarization of railway sidings and guidance for the environment by trust. So this will be looked after by the railway departments also. So how the criteria for the how we have already seen that site, how we have to see. In that we have seen how to select the site for the CND waste processing facilities. So the processing facility is for recycling shall be large enough to last 20 to 25 years. So we have to select a site that it should be last for 20 to 25 years, so that the project can be on-site recycling facilities will be going on. The process of or a recycling site shall be away from the habitation clusters, or it should be away from the public, and it should be away from the forest area. It should be away from the water bodies and the monuments, national park, wetlands, and places of important cultural and historical or religious interest. So if you are keeping this CND waste facilities, processing facilities, so it should be far away from forest area, water bodies, and national parks, and historical or religious interest. So this it should be like that. We have to select a site. A buffer zone of no development shall be maintained around solid waste processing and disposal facilities. So any any waste if you are going to dispose, that should be buffer. So there should not be no development should be there. So the processing of the disposal. So 20 tons or more than more in one day. So you can dump 20 to more or 300 tons per project in a month. In a month you can do 300 tons, or in a day it can be 20 or 25 in a day, like that we can dump a waste. So this will be maintained within the total area of the solid waste processing and disposal facility. So the buffer zone shall be prescribed on case to case basis by the local authorities. So whatever the we already said that it should be recorded. So in consultants with the concerned state pollution control board. So who will look after this one? This will look after by the state pollution control board. So processing or recycling site shall be fenced or hedged. So that it should have a compound wall so that the recycling or processing should not disturb the others and it should provide it with the propagate to monitor incoming vehicles or other modes of transportation. So the either it should be fenced or it should be hedged. Meant have it can have a compound wall or it have a fencing, but at the entrance of all the vehicles it should be monitored. So the approach are in and our internal road shall be concreted paved has to avoid the generation of the soil. So internally it should not be earthen roads. It should be have it should be paved so has to avoid the dust generation. So due to vehicular movement it shall be designed to ensure the free movement of the vehicles also and other machinery. So provisions of the way bridge to measure quantity of waste. So whatever the waste you are bringing, that should be measured. That quantity should be measured. So for that we have to keep the weighbridge also. Fire protection should be there at the construction, and other facilities as may be required shall be provided. Utilities such as drinking water. So if you are putting a construction and demolition construction and demolition project, so in that you have to look after all these things. You have to look after the landfill site also, you have to look after the fire protection also, and you have to look after drinking water facilities are there or not for the who are working there, and also preferably if washing should be there. So if you are using for a recycling or if you are using for the reuse, that material should be washed. And also a lighting arrangement for easy landfill operations during night hours shall be provided. So safety provisions including the health inspections of the workers at a landfill site shall be carried out. So all these provisions should be there at the site so that they will look after uh, the waste. In order to prevent pollution process or recycling operations, the following provisions shall be made, namely, first one is the provision of the storm water drains to prevent the stagnation. So if you're at the waste, you should see that this should not store the water. So provision of paved or concrete surface in selection areas in the process of recycling facilities for minimizing the dust. If you provide a concrete area, then it concrete pavement, so then it will reduce the dust at that thing. Prevention of the noise pollution from the processing and the recycling. So whatever the machinery you are using there, it should not be more noise. So like that we have to say. So provision of for treatment of effluent, if any, to meet the discharge norms as per the environment. So at the treatment process, if any effluent or liquid or any effluent is coming, that should be treated as per the norms. So it show that it should not create any problem to the environment. So a vegetative boundary shall be made around processing or recycling plants. So nearby to the site, it should have full vegetation, I mean to say full of plants or trees, so that it will not create any and it will not create more uh, oh, more pollution, and also keep the environment as a safety. So here some of the pictures are there where it was demolishing of the waste, and here that demolition waste are again it is here it was reusing, that one recycling process is going on here, segregating the concrete. Here we can see the steel here, and here the other waste here. So these are the waste which are for the recycling plant it is sending, and it is how it was segregated here. So here it was a demolition. So in the demolition, here you can see the crane having some pouring some waste in the shredders. These are the shredders. Some machine you can see here. This is the black one where it is there, and here it is the yellow one, which is pouring that waste into some cone type. Here you can see that cone type, in that it was falling down, that all the materials, all the waste are putting them here. Some bells, in bottom of the cone you can see some steel. That is steel, that is nothing but which is making into crushing into the pieces. That pieces will come, so that you are reducing the waste there into pieces. So here, the already that was broken walls are there, broken walls, so that how they are powdering it, how they are making into the fine aggregate, you can see here. So here they are using that, with the help of that. So here we can see that more, you can get the pollution, where the dust will be, if the air, if the all of a sudden the more cloudy it is there, then how it will, if the water is there, then it will wash out. If it is more air, more wind came, means that will be fly, that will be mixed with the air. So that we have to see that, how to we have to cover all those. So here it is a form, it is there, it is already paved here, so that the dust will not be, uh, the dust will not come. And here some wet, you can see the water. So here we are making that water, so that the dust will not raise. And also we are cleaning, we should clean here, some of the belt form is there. Here we have to clean the waste material, so that it will not, so that it should, any toxic materials are there, or any material which are harmful, that should be cleaned before recycling. That after crushing it should be cleaned, and that should be reuse it. So here is one of the figure, you can see here it was cleaning all those, and sprinkling on the fine aggregate, so that it will not create the dust here. Here the all the doors and windows which are used for the recycling, and here we say aggregate, which is formed as a aggregate and the sand, which can be used for the um, road payments, like that. So here what we are going to conclude that, in order to reduce the construction waste during the time of construction, so only the correct amount of raw material should be used, so that only we can reduce the construction waste. So as sorting and recycling facilities become more widespread and better development, it is easier to redirect our waste from landfill. So if you the sort and recycling done at the at the bottom itself, then it will be easier for the landfill process also. So this is the uh, mm, today we have seen about all those recycled materials.